I was still in school. They promised that I'll be able to, do my classes and everything, handle my school, and it wouldn't be a problem. Of course, they were lying. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no life. I didn't have friends for 2 years. I mean, I had them, but I couldn't meet them. I barely got any rest. Okay, I used to sleep like 3-4 hours a night, and post the show, I was burnt out in 2 years. I was 18 and going on to my 20s, and I was being still offered to play housewives, very submissive women, and I was like, I don't want to play these, I want to play my age. And that was initially definitely a challenge to just prove to people that, oh no, I am more than this, I am something else too. The trolling was insane for the weight I had gained, and it is brutal. It's apparently your whole being, your whole character, who you are, limits down to your weight. I somehow feel that Bengalis and the Bengali film industry, from my personal experience, they feel like how proud they are of what they are doing. So we are doing, our people love us, we are happy with it. And I, in my head, I'm a very global person. I'm a very, I look at myself as Indian. I do not look at myself just as a Bengali or Bong.
Hi and welcome to midday.com. Joining us, we have the very beautiful Ritabhari Chakraborty.
Hello, hi. Such a pleasure being here.
Same here. We are glad you could join us at the midday office
I'm
today.
glad. I'm extremely glad.
Yeah, so you had a very interesting journey. You started off as a model and of course a TV actor, and your very first show got you so much fame.
Yes.
So when you look at that now, how do you recall that time?
Honestly speaking, I was a kid, like any kid, I was naive. So I was 15 years old when I landed my first job. And that's when I started, and initially when I would do a bit of modeling, that was for pocket money, because my sister, she's the pretty one and she always wanted to be an actor. I was the nerdy, geeky one who was always into her books and never really thought of this as a profession ever. And I was a kid, like I said. What do you think when you're 15? And then I saw that she gets, she does this shoes, she gets nice pocket money, and I'm like, this would be pretty cool if I could do it. And yeah, that's how it started. But within a year, Ravi Ojha noticed me, and he cast me in this show called Ogubudhu Shundari. And for people who do not know much about Bangla television, it's the same show that was adapted into Hindi later called Sasural Genda Phool. So yeah, and that's, I was still in school. They promised that I'll be able to, do my classes and everything, handle my school, and it wouldn't be a problem. Of course, they were lying. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, TV shoots are not easy.
No, they had got their lead, and when they do, they will not tell you the 100% truth that how difficult it is to shoot television. And it was 14 to 16 hours of shoot. Okay. I was under contract, so I had to be there 25 to 26 days a month. Initially, actually 28 days a month. And oh my God, it was very hectic. And I used to study in the makeup room. I had no life for 2 years when the show ran, and partly the reason why I decided never to do television again. But the show was a massive hit. I'm very, very grateful to television because it gave me the base and the space to become who I became later and who I am today, to become an actor. I mean, I was not an actor before. It was my first acting school also, you can say that way. And yeah, I also studied because I was a studious girl. I got really paranoid that I'll not do well. I ended up doing extremely well, and here comes that narcissistic statement that I add everywhere to establish that I have brains, that I topped the entire country in my 12th boards, ISC exams in history and Bengali, scoring near about 95%. And people were talking all kind of good things about me, that look at her, she's doing amazing, she's she's the face of the most popular show right now, she has topped, and she's doing so well. But honestly speaking, if you ask me if I would do that whole thing again, I'll not.
Okay.
Because I had no life.
Huh.
It took a toll on my mental health. And as a kid, and there's a lot of kids that I see today who does reality TV, who does shows, who gets into the business really early, telling their parents that cut your kids some slack. It's a lot, It's amazing for the world to applaud you, to say you're a prodigy and this and that. And I don't believe in the idea of prodigy. I think it's all hard work, and it's a lot of hard work to do both, to do well in your studies and also to, be good at a show which depends on you. And like I said, I had no life. I didn't have friends for 2 years. I mean, I had them, but I couldn't meet them. I barely got any rest. Okay, I used to sleep like 3-4 hours a night, and post the show, I was burnt out in 2 years. So early on in my career, I had just turned 18 and I was burnt out. Can you imagine?
Yeah. And when you made the shift to movies, so were there things you had to unlearn from TV?
Honestly speaking, the process of, I mean, I did theatre for a while post that because I wanted to do my college at peace. I didn't, and my grandfather, he was a professor and a teacher and a vice principal of Scottish Church College, and you can understand, that's the same college, say, Subhash Chandra Bose have gone, and he was like this really, really grumpy, serious, angry man, and he made sure that I finished my studies, and he was like, you can do whatever you want post that. If you want to get back to acting and that's what you want, then you should go ahead and do it, but you should not look back and think, oh my god, I hope I finish my studies, and if now I don't have an option, second thing to fall back on. But yeah, so which is why I continued. I did theatre for a while, and when I wanted to transition into movies, it was challenging, not because the art form was very different. It's different, of course, like, you know, television, theatre, films, all medium advertisements are different. How they are shot, how they are pursued, how they're looked at, what the visuals are, what the mood is. But I think what was more dramatic is that within the same industry exists multiple industries. The television industry, I guess that's true here in Bombay also, the television industry and the film industry, they are close, they are coexisting in the same industry, but they're not. There's kind of a stark line. I mean, we have had actors who has challenged that and changed that, like, you know, Moni, Sushant Singh Rajput. Back in Calcutta, it would be, I would say, Mimi, a lot of other actors, but honestly speaking, the line is pretty stark, and especially if you were face of a very hit show, people tend to not accept you as anything else. So I had that challenge from the producers only initially, like even before they would take up on the challenge and let the audience decide that whether they would accept me in movies or not, they were like, they will not. They will not, and I kept on being offered similar roles as the one I have played, which I didn't want to play. I was 18 and, you know, going on to my 20s, and I was being still offered to play, you know, housewives and, you know, very submissive women, and I was like, I don't want to play these, I want to play my age. And that was initially definitely a challenge to just prove to people that, oh no, I am more than this, I am something else too. So it was challenging for my audience also when I changed my whole look and, like, you know, came in front of people. But eventually I think I did got my foot into the space, and I had to kind of, like, you know, build that for myself. I produced a song with Ayushmann Khurrana called O Remon, and that was one of the reasons of doing that. In fact, before that only I started producing, and I started producing a lot of content for myself in terms of breaking that whole image that was stuck up in people's head, and that helped. Honestly speaking, that was the main agenda, but I'm so glad I learned something. I learned to produce, because I guess that has been one of the most empowering things about myself and my journey, where I feel secure.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you don't limit yourself to just acting, you also write and produce. So how did all that happen? Like, how did this interest develop?
I started producing. It was in need of the hour more than, you know, how badly I wanted to make money out of it, or, you know, wanted to produce or become a producer per se. But I was like, okay, if you're not giving me the job, or if you're putting challenges in front of me, that is because I am not gonna limit who I am as a person for my job. Yeah. It's untrue for any other business and industry, and it should be for mine as well. Why should that be legitimized and be okay, even if it's not said out there out loud? And it's not a secret that it's a very patriarchal industry, the film business it is. And I had to make sure that I protect myself, and at the same time, you know, I get to work and reach people and get that love that I had already gotten, you know, in television. And that's how I started producing, and that was and I wanted to do something, you know, big, so that people take good notice of me, they see differently. Thankfully, social media came in strong at the same point, and I invested in my future. I really saw what social could do. What it did for me initially is, it gave me a space, it gave me a channel, it gave me a place to reach my audience. They are not the ones who are sitting and judging me. They are just seeing whatever I'm putting out there. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. There was no, manipulating them. We take audience for granted and think they're really stupid. They're not. They can see through. But yeah, so that's how producing happened for me. And from then on, like after doing Orimon, I produced something called Naked with Kalki Kekla. And I'm so glad Kalki did that with me because I needed a stronger voice and a national voice. Hindi happens to be a language that is perceived by a larger audience in the country by default. So I'm so glad Kalki came on board and did that with me. And it was a little more audacious than just making a music video. It was a short film about social media bullying, and we even got a Filmfare nomination for that. And I was like, what, 24 or 23, and I'm like, okay, I'm a producer who has gotten a Filmfare nomination for a short. And then on, like, it has everything else I have made. I have made How About a Kiss with Ranbir Kapoor. I have made Fool for Love with Anurag Kashyap, all of it. And the writing part kind of comes, I enjoy writing, I like writing, and when I visualize something and I think this can be put into words and can be transcended visually, I get excited. So yeah, that's how writing comes. Writing, and whenever I have a lot of clients that I work with, I make ads for as a producer and as an actor, and we are always ideating, conceptualizing, and I've always found that process very interesting of writing that up. So that started early on. Initially I would say I'll speak to my team and get back to you. There was no team, that was just me. Okay. All my producers back, probably like clients from them, they're like, oh my god, she lied to us. No, I had it in me and my other 12 personalities. Okay, so but now I do. When I say I'll talk to my team and get back to you, I have people, I have collaborators, co-writers, good technicians on board to speak, discuss, and come back with something and make it happen.
And you have been dealing with a lot of other issues as well, like body positivity, which your latest film talks about. So how did that happen?
So that has a story. The film still is yet to come out. It comes out on Women's Day. So I had a very rough year, like most people, 2020, mid-2020 to 2021. Or to add on top of it, I had 2 surgeries and I was physically really unwell. And I couldn't do my usual workout regimes and everything that I would so normally do, and which was so part of my life. And I ended up gaining some 7-8 kilos, which for an actress is quite a lot. And when I first came doing advertisements, because I am contractually bound to deliver certain dates and show up in certain ads to come on screen and do it, and I showed up with those extra 7-8 kilos, and the trolling was insane for the weight I had gained, and I couldn't believe it because I have never been on this side of the spectrum. I have always been the skinny, petite one, the one with abs, people only talking about, look how stunning she looks with her waistline, this and that. And I have only thought that it's hard for women who cannot attain a certain kind of body, but I didn't know that it was brutal. It is brutal. It's apparently your whole being, your whole character, who you are, limits down to your weight. There are women doing amazing things out there. Like imagine someone pinking on Indra Nooyi or Oprah Winfrey for their weight. I mean, dude, come on. Those women are literally changing the world as we speak, and all you're doing is probably, getting some extra kilos shed in the gym, which is amazing. You should take care of yourself. But if you're not doing it, if you're taking care of yourself in a different way and taking care of the world, I think you're still brilliant. I had two choices, of course, and I was going to shed it anyway for parts like, because, I have always been a fitness freak and I like being in a certain shape. But I was like, this is not right. I would like to do something about it. So the people I had made Brahma Janen with Windows. Brahma Janen was the film where I played a female priest, and we broke the taboo around menstruation and how a woman should also be a priest. Why should it be only a job entitled to men? So I went to them because they do meaningful movies, and I said I would like to do something about body positivity, and they gave it to me straight that we have a script, there's something like we can do with you. We have been planning for a while now. The only thing is this 7-8 kilos that you have gained, ये enough नहीं है. इससे कुछ नहीं होता. You are an actress who's supposed to be skinny, who has gained a few pounds, doesn't tell a story of a woman who has been obese or plus size her whole life, and her struggle and challenges are not the same. You got to gain at least 15 to 20 more kilos. Okay. I was like, okay, I'll think about it and come back to it. And I had 2 more films in my hand at that point of time, but the only thing they also had said, ki like, ek mahine mein ho jayega na, you lose this weight now that you have gained. So I sat down, I was like, okay, so here I have this. Either I can just lose this and go on doing this, both these films that is in my hands, or I can just gain those 15 kilos and do Fata Fati, the body positivity film. And I chose the latter because I felt that film had way more impact. When I saw, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, I was like, I would know I did something right for the women, like my cousin, like my Masi, like a lot of other people, my friends that I know around, who struggle with this every day. I would know I did something for them, and I did something for that person who went through so many surgeries, and instead of being thankful to my body that it has, gone through so much, I was accusing myself of putting on a few pounds. I would respect that woman as well, and I was like, so it's a better call. And also, who doesn't like being the hero of their own movie in a very, very patriarchal industry again? Yeah. So yeah, I chose to actually gain the weight. My director every month, like, how ulta hota hai ki they keep checking on, like, how you have अपने फिगर बनाया मूवी के लिए, यहाँ उल्टा ही था. ही वॉज कॉन्स्टेंटली सेइंग कि अरे इस एड में पतली लग रही. वुड कॉल माई मैनेजर कॉन्स्टेंटली एंड से कि क्या हो गया, इज शी लूजिंग, शी कैन नॉट, शी नोज ना, वी हैव टू शूट. बट नो, इट was a task. And when you see me in that after, you won't be. I can give a reference. Bhumi Pednekar in Dam Laga Ke Haisha. That's exactly because it had to. I had to look a certain way. जिसके like जिसके size के कपड़े नहीं मिलते. I had to look like literally that size, not even a large, like a really huge size where you actually have difficulty even finding clothes for yourself. And how that woman breaks all barriers and become a fashion blogger is what the movie is about. So yeah, and then I did that. We finished the film, and uske baad, now uske baad the journey has been to again lose it for other projects and for my whole lifestyle. Thankfully, my body is kind to me, and I have almost lost 70% of the weight that I had gained. But again, when you see it, I don't think you will be able to recognize me.
Yeah, I would recognize you.
Well, if you can't see that there is, yeah, that is me. Yeah, that's the length, and that's not just the clothes. That is me. Abhi Chatterjee plays my husband in the film, and he's such a sweetheart to do this film. And he himself said that he have had similar difficulties in his life, always being judged because he's a skinny guy and his wife is on the healthier side, which is why he's people are always saying stuff to her, and I have seen her go through that. So this film is personal for him as well. And yeah, there's a whole sequence in the movie where the denim doesn't fit. I think we all have been there. Yeah. Jeans fit nahi aa rahe, and I'm just jumping around in the whole room. So then you'll know that this is not padding and stuff. The weight I gained was for real, because my tummy is this big and the denim is not coming on. Okay. So if you actually ask me, that this has been my boldest and bravest film and role so far. I mean, I think it has been so much braver than wearing a bikini for a project.
And also with OTT especially, I think the language barriers are not as strong anymore. People are watching all sorts of languages and content. So do you feel the change as well? It's not limited to regional cinema anymore. It's Indian cinema now.
Somewhat. I wouldn't say a lot, honestly. I would say every industry is different, and how they market their films, even for OTT, how they look at their PR and broadcast has a huge impact on how films are perceived. I love what Malayalam films are doing with it, and I'm extremely unhappy with what Bengali films are doing with their broadcasting. They're making amazing content. But then when every time I meet somebody of a different language, like somebody down south or in Bombay, and I have to knock them and let them know about my film, which made it to Indian Panorama, got tons of award, got all kind of appreciation, was the biggest hit of a pandemic year, okay? And I really feel sad that, the PR broadcasting and taking it to the right space has not been there for it. If it was released probably in Tamil or I don't know Malayalam, probably it would get that exposure and that visibility. And iske liye people are not responsible. The industry is responsible, or the people who are making the films or the work, they are partly responsible. I somehow feel that Bengalis and the Bengali film industry, from my personal experience, they feel like, you know, how proud they are of what they are doing. So we are doing, our people love us, we are happy with it. And I in my head, I'm a very global person. I'm a very, you know, I look at myself as Indian. I do not look at myself just as a Bengali or Bong. And I'm like, why will not, I mean, the subject, for example, a woman should be a priest. This is a national subject. And why should only people know about it when a Hindi film is made on it? You know, why wouldn't our film be also received? The film is in Hotstar and it doesn't have subtitles. Can you believe it? Okay. Every time I met Ranbir Kapoor at an event recently for, you know, a house puja of a brand that we both work for, and he was so curious about the film, and I wanted him to watch it, and he was like, I'm definitely going to watch this movie. It sounds so interesting. You play a woman priest. I was like, yeah, I learned all the Sanskrit shlokas and everything for it, and I said it's on Hotstar, you can find it. And he was like, and I told him the details, and then our marketing head of that company, she comes running to me saying ki, पर वहाँ subtitles नहीं है. He's like, तुम उसको Vimeo link भेजो, कुछ करो. And I'm like, how callous can you be about it, and how neglected can you feel? Now I'm not gonna go putting on the blame game on. I have told my producers n number of times that why doesn't it have subtitles? Yeah. When I'm talking to, so I graduated from UCLA a year ago. Why do I have to send each one of my friend a Vimeo link? Why can't I say Hotstar is a global platform? Just go and watch my film there. Just because there's no subtitles in it. Now, who do I blame? The platform? You? I don't know. Who am I blaming? The whole... And I am blaming the idea that you have to stop treating yourself as some second-class citizen called regional cinema. Yeah. That's who I am blaming. I have seen the pride South Indians, they take... I'm generalizing here. I know there are different South Indian languages. I'm not unaware of it. But look at them. Look at the pride. Look at, like, you know, what Kantara did. I mean, look at the pride they have and, like, you know, audacity they have of taking the film even in other cities, to Bombay, to Delhi, to wherever, where people don't know their language. So I think that's our limitation as Bengalis and the Bengali film industry, to unable to do it. We are making great content, watching it ourselves, and then, like, you know, just tapping ourselves on the back. And I think that's not enough.
And now that you are in Mumbai, do you plan to do Hindi films as well, or more languages?
Of course, I would love to, honestly. Pari was the last Hindi film that I did, and it also kind of, I would give the credit of that happening to the fact that I had kind of made a part base in Bombay. So I do intend to spend more time here, do more content here. At this moment only, like, you know, there's something that we're talking about, and I hope it finalizes and people get to see me in more Hindi films, more Hindi projects. I have not done any series as of now, nothing. So I think that's something I am yet to explore and come to my audience with. And again, I don't want to limit myself to any language in India. If I can, Hindi mujhe pata hai, Hindi mujhe aata hai. But how wonderful content is being made in Malayalam cinema. I wouldn't mind doing something if I'm offered, and I wouldn't mind taking the time. Or like I gained 25 kilos, or like I took 3 months of training to become a woman priest. Why not learn a language as well if you really want a part that bad, if you want to play a, you know, a certain role.
And when you are in the city, so which are the top 5 places that you are, you know, always look forward to visit?
Okay, they're all bizarre. Number 1 would be Candies in Bandra. I love Candies. It's so sweet. It's so cozy. It gives this great vibe. Then there's this bookstore called Trilogy. It's in Carter Road. So there's this tiny lane that goes inside, and oh my God, it's one of the best bookstores ever. I mean, they have the nicest collection. The store recommendations are amazing. So that, and you know, you step out of it, you have the whole, you know, Carter Road ka sea view. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Third would be this is funny, but there's a store called Art Station. Yes, and they have all kind of craft supplies and everything, which is very rare and cute for something for India to have. And I love that store. I love visiting there. Fourth would be, I don't know. See, I would have to say my sister's house. She lives here. She lives in Bombay. She's a Bombay girl, so that's something I also love. And there's one place which is not kind of there anymore. You know how the earlier Prithvi Cafe that was there. I really miss it. I used to really love that, but I would say at this point. Bagel shop in Bandra.
And it was lovely having you. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely being here, talking to you about my work, my content and my life. And I hope you watch Fatafati and you love it. And to all midday ka audience, I would like to say, I hope अगर आपको मेरी बातें अच्छी लगी, हमारी इंटरव्यू अच्छी लगी, तो शायद आगे जाके मेरा काम भी अच्छा लगे. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.